Coming up on today's episode of Airborne-Unlimited, Discovery Space Shuttle may not be moving after all. New permanent helicopter flight restrictions near DCA. Committee legislation approved to digitize pilot licenses. Welcome to Airborne Unlimited. I'm your host, Ronald. Let's get into today's stories. Discovery Space Shuttle may not be moving after all. The Space Shuttle Discovery is not packing up and moving to Houston just yet. Despite Congress fully funding the move in 2025, the new NASA administrator is now pushing for the spacecraft to remain right where it is, on display at the Smithsonian, instead of relocating to Johnson Space Center. The effort gained real momentum last summer when President Trump signed a bill that set aside roughly $85 million to move Discovery from the Smithsonian's Udvar-Hazy Center in Virginia to Houston. Texas Senators Ted Cruz and John Cornyn backed the move, claiming that Houston was unfairly left without a retired shuttle despite its crucial role in the program. Jared Isaacman, sworn in as NASA administrator at the end of 2025, is not outright denying the campaign, but he's definitely taking an intentionally cautious approach. Quote, "My job now is to make sure we can undertake such a transportation within the budget dollars that we have available, and of course, most importantly, ensure the safety of the vehicle," end quote. Discovery has an extensive history, beginning with its first flight in 1984. It quickly became the workhorse of the shuttle fleet, flying more than any other orbiter for a total of 39 missions. It launched the Hubble Space Telescope, carried crews and hardware for the ISS, and ferried 184 astronauts into orbit before retiring in 2011. After the break, restrictions for flying near Super Bowl 60.
I'm currently using the Hartsville Talon, by far the best aerobatic propeller ever come out.
I use the Trailblazer. It adds performance to the Super Decathlon and dependability, and it's rugged.
Hartsville's been an excellent partner for Whip Air, just in terms of your product support as well as keeping an eye on the market and developing new products that meet demand.
It's helping us all have better performing airplanes.
It's such a proud honor to fly behind that propeller.
Looking for a new generation of proven and efficient aviation power plants that boast modern engineering, electronic ignition, and both direct and gear drive systems? With 100 horsepower to 240 horsepower, the Skyline and Redline engines offer uncommon value in an overpriced industry. Whether you are looking for fixed wing or rotor, MW Fly Americas has been established to service the American market with dedication and expertise. MWFlyAmericas.com.
Welcome back. Now let's take a trip around the patch for some shorter stories. Flying near Super Bowl 60, how to avoid getting a number to call. The FAA has published a long list of flight restrictions and special traffic flows in hopes of minimizing any unnecessary pains as Super Bowl 60 prepares to roll into Santa Clara. In short, if you're a GA pilot planning on flying anywhere near the San Francisco Bay Area from February 4th through the 10th, don't, or be prepared to memorize a novel's worth of NOTAMs. The biggest disruption comes on Super Bowl Sunday, February 8th. From 2:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. local time, a temporary flight restriction will pop up around the stadium itself, surrounded by the familiar 30 nautical mile outer ring and a hard 10-mile inner core. Pilot suspended after making the cockpit his boxing ring. An EVA Air Boeing 777-300ER didn't even make it off the LA airport grounds before things went off the rails, leaving one pilot suspended and the other bruised. A captain allegedly punched his first officer during taxi after being called out for his taxi procedures. The incident reportedly started when the first officer noticed that the aircraft was taxiing too fast and made several attempts to warn the captain. When those warnings were blatantly ignored, the FO did what standard operating procedures said he could and applied the brakes himself. Freedom plane will fly to 8 cities with rare documents. In celebration of the 250th anniversary of the United States, a Boeing 737 will carry several historical documents, including an original engraving of the Declaration of Independence in 1823, one of only about 50 known engraved copies, to 8 cities across the country. The Freedom plane will launch from Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in DC on March 3rd, heading to its first stop in Kansas City. It will then travel to Atlanta, Los Angeles, Houston, Denver, Miami, Dearborn, and Seattle, concluding at the end of August. 2 companies partner on Cessna and Piper service kits. McFarland Aviation is partnering with Hutch Aviation to bring Cessna and Piper service kits to a larger market. The partnership is designed to provide high-quality, cost-effective components that enhance safety, maintainability, and aircraft longevity. Hutch Aviation's line of Cessna forward doorpost reinforcement service kits and associated service kit components will now be offered through McFarland. These alternative method of compliance service kits address known fatigue and cracking issues in the forward doorpost area. That's it for today's Trip Around the Patch. Let's get back to the rest of the news. New permanent helicopter flight restrictions near DCA. The FAA is permanently revising flight restrictions immediately in the airspace over the Potomac River near Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, DCA, to allow only essential helicopter operations in the area. The FAA previously implemented TFRs around DCA. To make the restrictions contained in the TFRs permanent, the FAA issued an Interim Flight Rule published on January 23, 2026. The move makes permanent restrictions that were put in place immediately following the American Airlines 5342 crash. The agency says in an interim final rule that revisions are necessary to mitigate the potential for mid-air collisions resulting from insufficient separation between fixed-wing aircraft operating to or from DCA and helicopters or powered lift aircraft operating in the vertical lift flight mode near DCA. Specifically, helicopters may only conduct essential operations in the area between the Memorial Bridge, Haynes Point, and the Wilson Bridge, as defined in new Section 93.373. These requirements are effective immediately. When helicopters must conduct essential operations in this area, air traffic control will manage fixed-wing traffic to restrict traffic from entering the Special Flight Rules area. What the FAA considers essential operations in this area are life-saving medical, active law enforcement, active national security, continuity activities for the federal government, or transportation for the President or Vice President of the United States. After these messages, committee legislation approved to digitize pilot licenses.
DirectFly USA proudly introduces the new Alto NG, a single-engine, 2-seat light sport aircraft for the North American market. This simple, all-metal aircraft design provides low-maintenance cost, easy, comfortable access, and responsive flight controls. Equipped with the Rotax 912 engine and a ballistic parachute, the Alto NG is reliable and safe. Learn more about the Alto NG at directflyusa.com.
It's time to upgrade your power plant to the first FAA-certified clean sheet engine design in over 60 years. Delta Hawk's jet fuel-powered liquid-cooled turbocharged engine produces turbine performance at 40% better fuel efficiency of typical reciprocating engines, while also achieving exceptional reliability and significant reduction in cost of ownership. Reserve your engine package today at deltahawk.com.
Welcome back. Committee legislation approved to digitize pilot licenses. The House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee approved legislation to digitize pilot certificates, help military air traffic controllers transition into FAA careers, and examine drone impacts on wildfire suppression efforts. Among the bills passing committee by voice vote were the Pilot Certificate Accessibility Act, H.R. 2247, modernizes FAA requirements by allowing pilots and other FAA certificate holders to present digital certificates instead of physical ones. This legislation builds upon the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2024 requirements for the agency to digitize and modernize its processes. Under current FAA regulations, a pilot must present for inspection a physical copy of an airman certificate and other paperwork upon a request from the FAA, a federal, state, or local law enforcement officer, or an authorized representative of the Transportation Security Administration or the National Transportation Safety Board. Also, the Military Air Traffic Control Transition Act, H.R. 6744, strengthens efforts to help experienced military air traffic controllers more easily transition into civilian roles at the FAA, addressing the ongoing air traffic controller shortage. Next, the Wildfire Aerial Response Safety Act, H.R. 6618, directs the FAA to conduct a study and report on how unmanned aircraft system incursions affect wildfire suppression efforts. The bill underscores that wildfire response depends on a secure airspace to allow federal, state, and local agencies to operate quickly and effectively. And that's our show for today. You can catch episodes of Airborne on YouTube, Roku, or Fire TV. Just search for Aero-News or Airborne. And don't forget to follow us on social media. Thanks for watching.